This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Here's what I'm getting at. I think I've seen one too many signs warning me about rattlesnakes. I understand seeing wildlife and camping in primitive remote areas is part of the adventure, but really, dodging rattlesnakes is just a little too primitive and wild for my taste. I grew up in a rural area with 6 species of venomous snakes. Every time I'd go out to play, my parents would warn me to watch out for snakes. I'd seen more than enough scary serpents as a kid. I didn't need to see any now as an RVing adult. Look, there's another one. We'd stopped at a rest area along I-10 in New Mexico. The wind howled, and the cold chilled my bones. It couldn't have been more than 40 degrees, and with the wind chill factor, maybe 30. Too cold for 'em today, Michael laughed. You'll be safe getting to the ladies' room this time. But what if one has crawled into the bathroom room to get out of the cold? Why would anyone live in a snake pit? Doesn't look like anyone does, Michael said. Look around. I don't see any houses. Nothing for miles except empty desert. I don't think it's empty. According to these signs, it's filled with friggin' rattlesnakes. We saw yet another rattlesnake warning sign on the other side of the restrooms. While I loved the American Southwest, those snake signs freaked me out. They were everywhere. We'd seen them at almost every campground along our southern route: Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. Many of the highway rest areas, like this one, had these yellow, diamond-shaped, fear-inducing signs, all with the graphic rendering of a little rattlesnake with his rattles pointed up in the air and his little slanted eyes and forked tongue looking right at you. The only thing missing was a smile on his face. We pulled into our park outside Tucson, Arizona, in the desert. Michael, look at this sign. Not only rattlesnakes, they have tarantulas and scorpions, too. I can't stay here. You have to. We've got reservations. My husband laughed. You think it's funny, do you? We'll see how funny it is if a tarantula gets in the bed with us tonight. When we checked in, the verbal warning scared me even more than the signs had. Don't walk around at night without a flashlight. When the temperature drops, the rattlesnakes come into the park to warm themselves up on the asphalt. Michael handed over his Visa card and filled out the registration. I stood immobilized in fear. As soon as we walked out, I grabbed his arm. I'm telling you right now, if I need to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, no matter what my body wants to excrete, it is going into our RV toilet. I hope you understand that. Management had posted signs on the bathhouse and laundry room doors instructing campers to open and close doors as quick as possible, so snakes wouldn't sneak in to find a warm, dry place to hang out. I wondered about the tarantulas and scorpions. The cracks under the old wooden doors were more than big enough for a spider or an insect to crawl under. This was the first time in my life I could remember being afraid of doing the laundry. I imagined snakes jumping out at me from every corner and poking their heads out from under washers and dryers to bite my toes. Although alarmed by the snake warnings at every turn, I loved the deserts so much I'd go back again and again. I've read those southwestern rattlesnakes, while as aggressive as the ones we have back east, are smaller in size, often no longer than 2 feet or so. That would mean, if he bit me, Mr. Rattler would have less venom to inject into my body, and that would mean my chances of surviving the bite would be greater. It's possible I've been overreacting with this snake hysteria. We also saw snake warning signs in the Midwest and the Northwest, though not as often as we had in the Southwest. We drove through thousands and thousands of acres of corn, wheat, soybeans, and God only knows what else growing in those huge fields in the heartland. I knew there were snakes there, too, but at least our RV parks weren't sitting in the middle of those cultivated fields. Perhaps for the first time since we'd been out west, I felt safe from snakes in the Bighorn National Forest in Wyoming. We hiked up to the world's largest medicine wheel on Medicine Wheel Mountain, an elevation of almost 10,000 feet. A medicine wheel is an area marked off with stones or rocks pointing in the 4 directions, and then with 28 other divisions. Space inside the wheel is sacred.